moving on to a more recent notable, mostly for the right reasons, is Andrew Canfield as George W. Bush.
My fellow New Zealanders, I am George W. Bush, a proud Texan-American born in New Haven, Connecticut. Like any average American, I attended public school for a short time before my daddy sent me away to Houston, Texas to attend prep school. As a teenager, I graduated high school at a boarding academy in Andover, Massachusetts, whereabouts I enjoyed playing baseball in senior year, as well as leading the cheerleading squad. Now that I was back home and better than ever, I knew it was time for me to keep going with this whole politics thing and run for governor of my beautiful state. After winning the primaries with no problems, the finish line was in sight, and the only competitor in my way was Democratic leader Ann Richards. With this, God made his intentions obvious, as rumors of Ann's sexual orientation flooded state newspapers, and I claimed the victory with over 53% of the vote, against her puny 46. As a compassionate conservative, my main points while campaigning for the 2000 presidency were lower taxes, improving our education system, and extending our armed forces. After all, rarely is the question asked, is our children learning? After winning the primaries hands down, the heat was on. Al Gore was a tough fighter, and I knew I needed to step up to the plate to show the American people what I was made of. Throughout my reign as president, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears were shed following such incidents as Hurricane Katrina and 9/11. And as people got to know me as their leader better, their impression of me got worse. As my approval ratings dropped and my responses to everyday issues weakened, I became nothing more than a humor to most American and international peoples, with such jokes being used as Bushisms, exploiting my linguistic errors, which I assure you are non-existences. So yes, I held the lowest approval rating of any U.S. president in history. And yes, my responses to certain issues may have been controversial. And yes, I may not be the brightest bulb of the bunch. But I implore you to see through this to the innocent country boy that I really am. Maybe my family was rich and had a history in politics, but I have worked for everything that I have and have earned every achievement throughout my lifetime. After this speech, I hope you can understand that. Thank you, and God bless. When I told people that I would be portraying George W. Bush as my notable for this particular assignment, they asked and pondered over how he's notable. I decided to take this in and look up what a notable is. After comparing various dictionary entries, I came up with the most common, being worthy of note or notice. Well, let's compare George to this definition. George W. Bush declared the War on Terror, a worldwide brawl which has lasted more than 5 years. As well as this, he has invaded Iraq and practically deteriorated the already torn-up nation. George was also the first president to be elected with a criminal record, a very notable fact indeed. Do these few facts not back up my point? George W. Bush is a human being definitely worthy of noticing. His stupidity seen in and out of office has led to the most historians concluding his administration as the worst of all time. So yes, he may not have changed the world for the better, but it is impossible to say, for a fact, that he has not changed the world at all.